What's going on, world? It's your boy Gemini Brown here, back with another episode of 𝐦𝐨 Knowledge. Today, we'll be taking a look at Saturn and Pisces and what it's going to be like to have Saturn transiting the sign of Pisces for the next 2-3 years. So let's get into it. So we know that Saturn is the planet of limitations, restrictions, discipline, structure, order. And when it comes to Saturn transits, these qualities will be, or themes will be highlighted during that time. But here's the thing that you got to get to with Saturn. You got to get this through your head. Change is necessary. And even when things aren't going your way, you're being led to where you need to be. And also keep this in mind. Saturn deals with maturity. So every transit forces you to mature within that area. How do you mature? Becoming more disciplined, becoming more responsible, taking pride in the said thing. So keep in mind, Leo and Capricorn, Sun and Saturn, naturally yin connects one another. So I find that people who are really have a natural talent or something that comes from the heart, your approach towards it isn't naturally Saturn-like. It's typically through being denied something, feeling not good enough for it, that makes you want to work harder for it. Okay, so it's a very interesting, thing with that. But just know that it's necessary changes that is occurring with Saturn, and the more you tune into your transits, the more you'll see. Damn! By the end of the transit, I was much better than I was in this area before the transit. Yeah, throughout the 2.5 years, that happened. That was really whack. That blew mine. But damn, if that didn't happen, then this wouldn't happen. So, Saturn and Jupiter, they're right there next to each other, right? I mean, we know Saturn extends a little further out. Jupiter doesn't go past Saturn's orbit. So, in a very small sense, that tells you you gotta have faith. You gotta have faith, but faith without works it's not gonna go nowhere. At some point in time, you have to appease Saturn. You have all the Jupiter in the world, but at some point it's like, you want to get past this gate? You're gonna have to follow these instructions. All right. So that's a little bit about Saturn trends. Saturn trends is forcing us to boss up. Now, Pisces, the last sign of the zodiac. And what's really interesting? I appreciate people who are honest and about stuff. So a lot of times when I'll do readings for people and they have Pisces energy, the person will say to me, I don't really understand Pisces. I understand Cancer, I understand Scorpio, I understand that, but I don't really understand what Pisces is. And that's so good, because it's not meant to be fully understood. It's the last sign. It contains the qualities of all signs before it. In essence, it's representing the end and the beginning, right? So here are some key qualities that are definitely attached towards Pisces, and that can help you gain somewhat of an understanding of the sign. So the first thing is the symbol. The symbol of the two fishes tethered in different directions says a lot. All right. Simply put, without being wordy, life is eternal and eternally dualistic. We in life are seeking out balance, hence Saturn, true balance, hence why Saturn is exalted in Libra. But most of the time, we operate on extremes. And the Piscean energy, or all mutable energy, deals with extremes. So once you get into the dualistic signs, you get that lesson of extremes. And it is through those extremes you can greatly understand yourself deeply. So it's not about, so typically the end that we will repress ends up being the shadow. But at some time, like with Pisces or 12th house energy, at some point you got to meet your shadow. To now, it's all the thing you got to know with Pisces too, it does deal with the results you get from it does have a layer to do with the lessons you as a soul have learned. So if you are, let's say, an 11th house Pisces, ton of Pisces energy you've probably learned a lot more lessons than someone with that Pisces in the 3rd house. I can't really fully say that, but it's all about how the energy blends. Because in one sense, you have Pisces mixing with Aquarius, which will make it more detached, right? And then in the next sense, you have Pisces mixing with Gemini, which can lead to understanding, but a lot more emotional extremes, okay? So with Pisces, to learn the lesson, a lot of times we see the things reflected to us through others. And this can be, things that we're not conscious of, that we're not seeing in ourselves, things that we need to be like made aware of or learn from, okay? Or I say, like, in life, we can't play all parts. So Pisces in the 12th house allows you to display the energy or relay the energy somewhere else in your life to then have it reflected, to you. So this could be like someone whose best friend, acts out their sensuality for them. So the actual person is quiet, reserved, or whatever, but they may have a best friend that's very sensual or sexually in tune. That aspect is a part of the person. It's just therefore in this lifetime being reflected so one can learn about themselves via that way. Like, even so, say the friend makes a lot of mistakes, the person is learning from those mistakes, not directly but indirectly. So Pisces works in this. One of the ways it works with is reflection. The next thing that Pisces deals with is imagination, and this is a really good quality to use with Pisces. It helps in terms of visualization, meditation. So Pisces energy and like entails daydreaming. But when you add some focus towards those daydreams, or even an intent, like, okay, I'm gonna meditate now so I could visualize about my future. What you're actually doing is opening up a channel of energy to bring down, right? Then when you rise up out that meditation, things within the reality conspire to help bring about what it is that you are imagining. This really is a magical power of Pisces and 12th house people, the ability to imagine or creatively create and then influence the reality. Other things with Pisces: disillusionment, oversensitivity, right? So it is a water sign. It is the water sign of all water signs. It's the deepest waters. So there's a deep layer of emotional compassion here, the potential for it. So the more Pisces can become in tune with their emotions and understand why they feel what they feel, the less of a victim to the emotions that they are. So, it's simply said, but literally, I see this all the time. You have to choose who you give emotion to, whether it's a positive or a negative emotion. Everyone doesn't deserve uh, something out of you. And you know, like when a Pisces is really emotionally sensitive, or let's say impulsive, this can lead to constant arguments or falling out, feeling victimized, all of that. So there's a need to become more aware of that sensitivity. And the more you preserve it, the more I'm not, yeah, I would say to some Pisces, if you're the person that cries publicly, you might want to stop doing that. Not stop crying, but stop crying publicly, or stop letting others see you in that weak position. Can definitely be something that greatly enhances your personal power and helps you get a hold of your emotions, you know? But within that, there, like I said, there is this natural feeling of compassion and being connected to others. It's just a matter of deciphering and understanding that connection, knowing what to feel and what not to feel. Okay, so now that leads us to the next thing with Pisces, where it's always like this victim and savior complex. Because of that compassion or sensitivity, when you're really, you know, connected to those, you'll go above and beyond for them. Okay, but that can lead to Pisces feeling used or underappreciated. So it's real, like I said, it's really about knowing your spots and knowing where and when to implement your energies there. You know, even if you feel like, oh, I should. That brings us here. So that particular thing that I just said is one of the major themes of Saturn and Pisces. And that's going to be knowing where to put your energy. And I honestly, I've sat with this for a good while now. Saturn in Aquarius was definitely about social reconstruction, finding ways to connect via whatever limitations or restrictions that were imposed. So this made us all a little bit more savvy with the technology or reliant on it or whatever, right? Going from Aquarius to Pisces is like, it's like going into solitude. Okay? You could imagine that like Aquarius was like some social gathering or something going on. It was like some type of party. Pisces could be a party too, but it kind of signifies the end of the party, right? Where you see what you may not have been seeing in the previous transit. So this Saturn in Aquarius is one where we might have gained a greater connection towards the collective or some social group or whatever. But I honestly feel like we all need to isolate in some way. And I can't say all of us. But overall, I don't see this as one where we will be relying on one another. The way in which I'm seeing this energy, that it's really about you and your journey to this point. And there will be many of us who are able to distract ourselves with other things or even people. So like one of the things with Pisces is like, oh, I could give better advice to others than I give to myself. Or I go above it, I do more for others than I do for myself. Or doing that for others and then them not doing that for you. There's a lesson there. So if you find yourself in this state of being a humanitarian, wanting to serve others, you'll really have to use your discernment, Virgo, and ask yourself, is this actually worth it or is it just another distraction? From what I see, there is going to be a lot of forced endings because I think there can be an ungrateful energy around us, not openly, but overly exerting what we deem to be compassion. And this is a very important thing to keep in mind, y'all. I always tell you, because you know the energies, you'll want to be conscious of them enough to be within flow. but you don't want to take it upon yourself like, I have to be this way. You want to try to be this way within flow. So I often tell, people in relationships, if you know your partner's Venus and Gemini, be conscious of that to be within flow with them. But don't consciously say to yourself, all right, I'm going to be everything that this sign likes. There's a difference there. So what I'm saying is, if you see something where someone hasn't asked you for your help, someone hasn't asked for your, but like, oh no, this is the right thing to do. You need my help or whatever, and I'm going to offer it. That person can end up being ungrateful. Not really, but it's really how you perceive it. So realistically, you may have been doing the thing for some ego gratification, and when the ego isn't stroked how you want it, that leads to the feelings. But when you're actually doing something in flow and just natural, you expect nothing. All right, keep all that in mind. My best advice is, don't feel bad about focusing on you. Don't feel bad about isolating. Okay, endings are meant to occur. That's gonna be going on for 3 years, y'all. Now the funny part about this, when I looked, I was just like, damn. Look at all the lives that we lost, during the pandemic and everything. I feel like that all of that previous experience is meant to help us with potential losses that occur during this time. So, Saturn and Pisces, it would indicate the loss of like elders or spiritual elders, okay? Someone in your life who kind of unconsciously means something to you, and the loss of that person or relationship is, I think it has some symbolism to it. And ultimately, it can be a key towards transcendence. So Saturn and Pisces, losses of some kind are inevitable. But like I said in the beginning of the reading, it's ultimately a part of the process that gets you to where you need to be. All right? Now, this part, I wanted to say this from the beginning, because this is kind of what gave me the motivation to make the video. I always tell y'all, like, I could easily just come on here and be like, Saturn and Pisces means this, that, and the third, but just the way my energy is set up, since I've been learning astrology, I seek to experience it within my real life. I have activated my astrological eyes and sight to really be in tune with the environment in that way. And then just by me being a participant or observer, it speaks to me. So I was at, what was recently? There was what's this, January? Oh, I think it was Martin Luther King Day. Martin Luther King Day. I ended up going to IHOP. And I don't think IHOP is a regional thing. I think IHOP is national. So you don't know what IHOP is. It's International House of Pancakes. It's been a business that's been around for a while. So I'm at IHOP, and it's a busy day. It's a busy day in here. And then the way my mind works, it's always worked like this. I always just wonder about like businesses. I'm like, okay, this place is open all day, but they're primarily like a breakfast spot. I wonder how this place is gonna look, or I wonder how their evenings are. And then in my mind, I'm always wondering, I'm like, yo, how does this store survive? What are the sales like? I'll even do this with like let's say I'll see a crystal store in a mall. I'm like, damn, the rent in here must be high. Like, I hope you're selling enough crystals to, keep this thing open. And, me personally, I have my own metaphysical shops here that I love to support. I love to support just because, that speaks to something that I'm passionate about, or, it's an extension. I'm a part of that realm, right? So anyway, I say all that to say this. I'm at IHOP and I kind of get the download. I get the download that like, Oh, damn. Might have been struggling. I don't know this for sure, but it's just how it works. And so simply put, let me not even I feel like Saturn and Pisces, really, because it's represented endings, I feel like it's going to, in a societal sense, lead to the end of, let's say, on one level, like certain franchises. You know, like in the past, since when Netflix came about, it was over for Blockbuster. And just even within, since Uranus went into Taurus, the rise of like DoorDash and these other food delivery services. What I see is that Saturn and Aquarius, and it's like that for all of us, but even like on a business sense, I think it really, going from the pandemic, it forced them to have to adjust towards the future. So obviously we know like a lot of businesses went out of business during the pandemic. I feel like the ones that have hung on by a thread, i.e. maybe IHOP, maybe like a Subway. I feel like a lot of these certain franchises or businesses that have been here and they had their time where they thrived, I feel like they could be coming to an end within this 2.5-year period. And it's really interesting because I don't be trying to acknowledge like the full changes that goes on in society because it goes so fast. But when I was really looking at this energy, it was kind of like get down or lay down. And Saturn kind of was like, this is the way things are changing, right? If your business is able to flow with this or still in demand or need, you'll be good. But ultimately, if it's served this time, it served this time. And just from being, like I said, being an observer of life, this has always been happening. If you're an older person in your 50s or something, think, what was that business for you? What business was there during your childhood or your formative years that closed down? When did it close down? You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, and just for a friendly reminder, last time Saturn was in Pisces was 93 to 96. So go do some knowledge from then, right? So yeah, I feel like business-wise and in a lot of senses, we could see, some endings. So the next part with this energy too, I feel like we're like this could be a collective thing. But energy can be diminished during this time. All right, now I'll put it like this. There's a need to honor particular knowledge about oneself, one's body. So, let's say, you're a diabetic or something like that. This is a time to stop fucking around. This is a time to really, if you're going to see some changes within your life, you're going to need to really commit towards doing what you need to do, or you're going to feel that energetic repercussion. Overall, in another sense, it's like we might have to get more serious about our diets, and just overall what is working for us in whatever ways and what is not. So if Saturn is affecting your 4th house or maybe like your 10th house, work and home are not going to necessarily be energetically supporting. They will feel draining. And mind you, this is going to go in my 7th house. I'm just looking at it like, okay, I'm definitely submerged in my craft and do what I do. But, I definitely feel as though I have a really, really greater understanding of, let's say, relationships, what it takes to build them, the timing of them. So, and for me, like I realize that's energy. So whatever Saturn and Pisces is occurring for you, there will be this energetic feedback. Now, whether it's positive or negative will give you an understanding of if something is for you or if you're relating to it correctly. If it isn't for you or if you're not relating to it correctly, you will feel more drained. Okay? Last thing I'll say with this. If you've been on your journey, and I think all of us, there are different things. You can look at Saturn coming into Pisces like there's an overall like a check-in for this whole last Saturn cycle, right? Went through the whole zodiac, and Jupiter did that too. So what's going to happen here is you're going to really be, if you do the reflecting and knowledge correctly, you go back and be real with yourself and be like, okay, this is what I did good, and this is what I didn't do good. And whatever it is that I can improve upon, that's where I need to focus on really being committed to. Or I guess the way I was saying is like, I think we all know there are certain things that we bullshitted, right? In this time. So, for example, you know, the spiritual journey gets harder as it goes. It doesn't get easier. So the beginning is actually supposed to be easy. If you found yourself skipping shit in the beginning, Saturn and Pisces will be like, yo, you got to go back and learn that, or, you know, spend time with that. Kind of like, I even say like with my best friend. Like, he knows little of astrology. He knows like a little enough, but not nearly as much as he should know. And I just say he should know because when you have an influence around you, through time, it's like, all right, this, I can use this for, you know, further advancement, even if I'm not living my life by this, but just this conscious awareness of it. But anyway, I'm not even going to digress. But yeah, there's certain little things along the journey that you may have skipped that Saturn and Pisces wants you to really commit to. And then from there, you could get like the fullness of it. So it's like, think about it like this. Area A, B, C, you did great. Area 4 and 5 need a little bit more work. You got this. You got A, B, and C. Focus on 4 and 5, right? And then ultimately, there's a reason why you avoided 4 and 5, and there's a reason why you're like, oh, I still don't want to do that. But that's just the final test. You know what I'm saying? And then think about it. Once you emerge from this transit, I don't even want to talk too much about the future. It's crazy out here. It's a lot going on. It's moving very fast. But this is my interpretation of Saturn and Pisces. If you want your Saturn and Pisces broken down, reach out. Check out my website, GeminiBrown.com. Get a house reading, right? Or astrology question, natal reading, whatever you need, right? But you definitely want to be prepared for this transit. All right? Till next time, peace.